This feels good. All right, so today we're family. And since you guys are my cousins, I'm going to let you guys in on some family secrets, okay? I want you to take a walk with me. I want you to imagine living your life behind a mask. And I'm not talking about the mask that you've been keeping your eye on to go with your Halloween fit. I'm not talking about the mask that they tell you that you need to wear to protect yourself from an airborne virus. I'm also not talking about the mask that you pull over your head to keep you warm in the Ohio winters. I'm talking about a mask that takes your breath away. A mask that makes your chest tight. A mask that blurs your vision of not just yourself, but the world around you. For me, I don't have to imagine this mask. It's a lived experience. It's a recall, a memory, if you will. As a Black autistic man born with ADHD, I lived nearly 3 decades behind this mask, not even knowing that I was wearing it. And let me tell you what the mask said to me on the daily. You have to walk like this, look like that. And if you don't, it reminded me that you're not like us. We're going to get into a little bit about what it means to wear that mask. But for now, I want you to just imagine what might happen if you take off that mask. I want to dare you to keep it be, to embrace vulnerability, to choose visibility, and to use your voice, not just to make your own life and world better, but also the world around you. This is going to be my journey through masking and unmasking, of suffocating and then breathing, of being in prison and then finding freedom. We're going to talk about vulnerability first. I already mentioned that I'm autistic, and I am. But we're going to set that aside for a second because unmasking isn't about autism. I know I don't have to tell TEDxKLB about what it means to put on a mask because we know what it means to go into the workforce and have to put a suit and tie on, to use language that may not be natural for us, to enunciate every syllable, because if you don't, then you're not speaking the money language. The money language, that's something that I was taught that I had to speak at a very, very young age. Every time that a new set of expectations was communicated over to me, it's a new layer of masking that I had to carry around with me. And every time you add a new layer on, it just gets heavier and heavier. I want to share some very honest moments with you guys, because we're family. I love playing basketball. I do. I love running. I love jumping, grabbing the rebounds, passing the ball. I'm not the most coordinated, just being honest about it, right? But I am what you would think is an ideal role player. Yeah, I remember being in high school, and it was always a deliberation, like, I don't know if you really want to get Malcolm. And it wasn't because I couldn't play, because like I said, I was an ideal role player. It's because I didn't look like I could play. I remember one time, I'm on the court, and my guys, they look at me, they're like, yo, Malcolm, you do realize that this is an English class, right? This is a basketball court. I said, what? Because of my vernacular, That means I can't play basketball? They said, yo, he just said vernacular. Get him out of here. And it's funny now, but at the time, that told me that my intellect wasn't actually valuable. It told me that my defaulting to big words actually made me a liability. It encouraged me to put the mask on. Today, I want us to all just ponder on the question, who are we supposed to be, and maybe more importantly, why? I say the word mask a lot, but masks are measured by the weight of expectations. On the other side of defining what a mask is, I think we need to ask, how much does it cost to wear one? We're just gonna cut to the chase here. 12 to 30 years. I remember when I was first diagnosed as autistic, I did a lot of research on it. And maybe one of the most startling facts that I stumbled across is that the average life expectancy of autistic people is 35 years old. 12 to 30 years shorter than our neurotypical counterparts. And it's not because we're born in a way that makes us predisposed to dying early. That wouldn't make any sense. It's because there is a level of coping that comes along with living in a world that's not built for you, in which you're reminded moment after moment after moment that you have to do something differently. To cope with that, you turn to alcohol, drugs, you join cults. I joined 2 cults, but that's another conversation. We'll talk about that a different day. You know, that 12 to 30 years, it means a lot to me personally, because my daughter, she's 12. And I found out that I was autistic officially when I was 30 years old. Now, I say that to say it did not take me 3 decades to know that I was different. When I was in high school, maybe one of the first pieces, the first poems that I ever wrote is called Fitted Cap. I didn't realize it at the time that I was journaling in real time my lived autistic experience, but when I go back and look at it now, I realize that that's exactly what it was. You see, because in that piece, I talked about how it felt to be ostracized. I talked about how it felt to be mocked for the way that I spoke out, because I asked questions, because I see pictures in an abstract tint or light, because I had a curious intellect and I felt like nobody understood that. In that poem, I didn't understand that I was describing about how I was going to build up walls around me to protect myself. You see, I weaponized the things that I was really, really good at. It was a couple years ago that I realized that I was nonverbal for the first 2 years of my life. You see, even me being here on this stage right now and talking to you all is a testament. What I was always good at, though, was recognizing patterns, rhymes. In that poem, I said, if I am going to be recognized as one of the most lyrical people here, if you guys are going to give that credit to me, I'm going to take that, because I want you to view me as a sensation. I need you to see me making it. And at the time, and even for a decade after that, I thought that that poem was always about my ego. I thought that it was about me needing to be seen as being valuable. And the truth of the matter is, it was about me needing to be seen as valuable, but not so that I can get credit and applause. It was more about the fact that I needed to know that I belong somewhere, to be seen. And that's another part of keeping it visible. When I first realized that I was autistic, it was because I heard somebody in my community, in my village, speaking about when they realized that they were autistic. And as they spoke, I remember sitting across from her, and she said to me, this is this, and I have ADHD and I'm autistic. I said, yo, it's crazy because I feel like I'm talking to myself. It sent me down a journey of discovery for myself. I was 30 when I was clinically diagnosed, but I was 16 when I first started listening to Kanye, when I fell in love with music by Eminem and Kid Cudi, and I heard their lived experiences and I identified myself in that. And I am grateful for their choice to keep it be, for their choice to be vulnerable about the fact that they were different and that they were going to stand in their difference and that they weren't going to run away from being visible with their difference. And I started to, feel permission that I could do the same. It's important that I say that part, that I learned to love myself first from other people that just love themselves despite the fact that they were different. Not because of the definition that I got when I realized I was actually autistic. That is just a label. And when I got that label, I was happy. I'm not going to lie to you. And the important part is it's because I felt like for the first time, I was understanding that, I'm not broken. Instead, I'm just built different, And there's a whole lot of us that are built different. My diagnosis brought on a whole different type of imposter syndrome, though, because I didn't look like I was autistic. I look back now and I'm like, bro, the signs were all there. But I'm what you call high functioning, meaning that I'm really good at masking, pretending. I said Kanye's name already. A couple of years ago, he realized that he was neurodivergent too. He has a bipolar disorder, right? And he made an album as he was going through his own journey of self-discovery. The opening track of that album, he dares the listeners, all of us, and say, yo, why don't you just say out loud what you really feel? And see how that feels, see how it makes you feel. Just go with me, just say it out loud. A couple of years ago, I was in my basement, and I was listening to that album. This is post-diagnosis. I was listening to a song called Ghost Town. And the featured artists on that record, they came out and they said, I feel kind of free. We're still the kids that we used to be. I put my hand on the stove to see if I still bleed, and nothing hurts anymore. And I took upon Kanye's challenge to just go out there and just feel and be and just exist for a moment. I closed my door. I turned off the lights, and I let the music carry me away. We're family, right? All right. I danced offbeat. That's something I always said I would never do because that brings upon scrutiny and laughter, right? I sang out loud, off key. That's something that I said I would never do because it brings upon laughter. And I took my hands and I was flapping them, just like this. Something that I absolutely would never do. And in that moment, I realized, I'm just like those autistics after all. And it was a really beautiful thing. I stand in front of you guys really, really happy. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel free. And I feel like it's important for me to say that part to you, because my lived experience isn't like everybody else's lived experience, but it also isn't different from everybody else's lived experience. And it's important for me to not only take space, but also make space for other people to come out and share their lived experience too. And this is maybe the uncomfortable part of keeping it be. When you're telling the truth about what you really feel and the way that you're moving around, it's like a light in a dark room, right? When you flick on the light, sometimes it's blinding and it's uncomfortable. Through the process of revealing myself to my community and my village, there was a lot of moments of discomfort. There's a lot of harm that I had been subjected to that people who loved me and cared about me did not understand that they were subjecting me to. And it took a lot of swallowing of pride to be able to accept that. But keeping it V is a two-way street. I'm a cisgender heterosexual male. In June of 2020, as the Me Too movement spread across the country, I remember being in my house because we were all quarantined thinking, yeah, that's crazy. Hollywood is Sodom and Gomorrah. You see what I'm saying? Like, of course, there's all types of debauchery over there. Meanwhile, people in my village were saying, yeah, but also it's happening here as well. Matter of fact, it's happening in your immediate circle. And my immediate reaction to that is, no, there's no way. You see what I'm saying? Because I always fashion myself as a good guy, right? I always fashion myself as somebody that would never let something like that happen. But when I was honest with myself and looked in the mirror, I went back to when I was 13 years old, going to the school dances, asking my big homies and my cousins, like, yo, how do you dance with a girl? And they would say to you, or they said to me, you grab her by the waist and you just pull her over to you. Now, I just want us all to be honest about what type of world do we create when the good guys are taught that you ask for consent by pulling a girl over towards you. What type of world are we creating for us to live in, for us to bring our children into? And when I was honest about that, I realized that there was work for me to do as well. And that is the ultimate message here. You know, keeping it V is not about autism. It's about telling the truth. It's about telling the truth to yourself. It's about saying the truth out loud and making sure that you don't ever back away from the fact that you have the space to tell the truth. When we keep it V, we create a world that isn't just safe for yourself, but also for the people around you. And then you could put on the mask. The Halloween ones, the ones that protect you from the airborne viruses, and the ones that keep you warm in the Ohio winters. But we're going to be honest about our lived experience, and we're going to be free. Thank you.